We don't rent pigs. Good morning. Is this where I check in?
Just on number 2, print your name and just sign right behind it. You'll be able to go up to the second floor of the barn over here.
Okay.
There's a chain that says stay out. Just take it out, move it so you can get in there.
Okay.
Put it up behind you when you go in. It's just for photography.
Okay.
But you can go up to the second floor, but no ladders higher. And then you can go, do you see the airplanes through that across the street? You can go up to that, don't get on them or go past them.
Okay.
You can go, just watch signs too, but you can go right here where all the vehicles are right here.
Yeah.
If you open a car door, make sure you close it. Don't climb on anything.
Okay.
You can't go past these tanks.
Yeah.
And then you can shoot across the street out front of my house over here.
Okay. Over,
The buses and all that too.
Where I parked over there, yeah.
We live in all those houses.
Okay.
And then also on this side, you can go to the chapel. I have a wedding at 11.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
whenever they get here, it's off. The whole side's off limits.
After
For
11.
an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 weddings, but
The other one's
this
later on.
afternoon. But there's the chapel, the barn over here, and the garage with the 46 Cadillacs sticking out, facing the road, the green one. And on the chain there by the garage, it says stay out. You can move the chain to take pictures of the car parts.
Okay.
But put it back when you're done, the chain back
Okay.
up. We get a lot of rattlesnakes in certain buildings, so they're just off limits.
Mostly inside? Yeah.
Rattlesnakes can be
They're everywhere. You got to keep your eyes on the ground,
catch
right?
about 20 a year.
We had
so
one yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, wow.
just watch where you're going. If you see one, just back away and come get us.
Yeah.
We'll catch it, move it. We don't leave it there. So
Maybe I'll walk over to the barn. This is the barn. And you can see what she's talking about here. It says, close to the abundance of stupid people, stay out. And this is the chain that she said I could move aside. So that's what we'll do. Oh my God, look at those old outboard engines. Those are super cool. And then up behind them, an old Lucky Strike sign. Old stoplight, washing machine, oh, a jukebox. And this is where I gotta kind of be a little conscious because she's talked about the rattlesnakes. Just a bunch of old parts and stuff. Old signs up to the second floor, which she said we could do. Burly steps here. Oh my God. What a view out the back of the barn. These are some of the vehicles that I'd seen in other videos, but there's one right here in the middle in the foreground. That's an Edsel. I don't think I've seen that one before. And there's the 3 Metropolitans back there. Some old buses. And this cool car here in the foreground. I remember blue chip stamps. My mom used to collect those. Old Coke machine. Oh, when she said you can go up to the second floor, this is what she was talking about. They wanted people going up to this, there's another loft up there, and they want you to stay out. This roof structure has probably been completely reconstructed. Pretty cool old wood stove here. This old standard sign. Alright, time to head out of the barn. Latch here. Put it back. There's a sign that notes the Techatticup Mine, which is the main mine in this area, was established in 1861. Picnic area. And here's another sign. Pretty adamant about there. You know, if it's closed, they don't want you here. We'll go over there later, but there's the chapel, the churchy thing. There's a wedding, so we got to get over there earlier than later. We're going to walk over to the chapel and check out some vehicles on the way, but while we're doing that, I want to give you a little bit of history on the town. And so this area was called El Dorado originally. It was occupied by the Spaniards, and they actually did do mining up here, and they They were here really early, like 1775, and they discovered silver up here, and they mined that for a while. But they didn't find the gold. They actually abandoned it. And it wasn't until the later gold rush in around 1860 where the white man showed up and started mining some more, and then discovered gold. And it turned out this Techatticup Mine was one of the most productive gold mines in the area. Nelson was established and it became a mining town, and it was kind of booming in the 1860s, which was the time of the Civil War. And as it turned out, there were a lot of soldiers from the both sides, Confederate and Union, who abandoned, and they wanted to not be found. So they all came to Nelson and worked in the mine. So it became known as a really lawless area. The closest sheriff was like 200 miles away. The sheriffs didn't want to come out here because they were persona non grata. It just became completely lawless. So there was a lot of murders. There was a lot of dispute over who owned the mine. So there's a lot of fighting about that, and murders related to that. God, look at this gnarly. This is like, sorry about the interruption, but this is a gnarly bus. Look at this is like military spec. This thing probably could have gone anywhere in its day. That's amazing. International bullet holes. Just, they kept the tires pretty fresh on this thing. Wow. That is pretty impressive. So I'm guessing what it was. Oh, there's a tire that's kind of seen better days. You just can't imagine holding up in the heat. Goodyear. Presumably that's like a heavy-duty military truck, and then somebody just took the back of an old school bus, plopped it on there, called it good. Here's the backside of the buses. I should have known, I didn't really say anything, but I should have known that the one next to it is also a military-based vehicle. This bus does not stop at railroad crossings. Oh, this is the one. When I told her I thought it was a Chrysler in the gas station barn. I think this is a Chrysler. Yeah. Chrysler Royale. Wow. I mean, the patina is just kind of crazy. People always say these things are in great shape. Well, I mean, not really, but the one thing you can say is that, they don't have they're not all smashed up. Because when you leave these vehicles out in the desert, there's just the type of people that enjoy destroying property, and that doesn't happen here because there's folks living here and they take care of this stuff. Here's a pair of Buicks. I wonder if that grill is original. It doesn't look. This one looks more Buick-y, but that one is. These are similar era, but I think so in American cars you can tell it's after 1950, or it's 1950 or after if it doesn't have a split windshield. So I think these would be like 1950 or 1951. The ports are different though. This one has kind of oval shaped triple ports, and this one has down lower. I think this one's older. I think the grayish one's older, but I'll bet you that they're probably a year apart. It's a Dynaflow. I did look at the taillights, but I didn't see a date. Alright, over here we have the VW bus section. There's this famous trailer here with the Beetle mounted on top. And so what they did is they took a bus and they moved the wheels into the middle there. They filled in the back wheelbase there, and then they made a wheelbase for the middle wheel, and then they also filled in the front there. So that's pretty cool. And then inside it's kind of gutted, but all you see is kind of a platform, and it's otherwise pretty empty there, and you can see you could obviously stand up in there with the beetle top on it. And they mounted the beetle top there. They did a kind of okay, a little crude, but what I like is they left the door handles there, and that's kind of extra cool. Now if you look at that back window, there's a vent behind the back window there, and that indicates it's probably a late 60s or 1970-ish Beetle, which is the same era as both of these buses. They're kind of late 60s, and this front bus would be either a 68, 69, or 70, most likely, with its characteristics. So that's what I believe it is. It has the 5-lug wheel still, and in 1971 I think they went to the 4-lug. Then over here we have a chopped Baja bug, which is kind of an interesting, weird variation. And then beyond those, there's a couple of more Beetles there, and a triple-deck school bus behind that. Alright, I want to pick up the story about Nelson again. And so anyway, so you have all these war deserters that showed up, and they want to work. And the mine was really productive. They didn't know who owned it, but it was completely lawless, so it was really messy. A lot of violence and whatnot. And you know, a lot of gold rush towns have a reputation of being somewhat violent, but Nelson really lived up to its reputation, and it was quite a large area with a lot of people and not much governing. So it was completely crazy. And then this guy Nelson was a major player there, and he was killed by Paiute in 1897. And after that, that is when the town became Nelson. It would start to be called Nelson. And it was really prone to flooding during heavy rains. And what happened was the whole town and all the mines, except for this part of Nelson, which is the upper part, which wasn't as prone to flooding, got wiped out. And there have been a couple of major floods over the years, and I think there was one recently maybe in the 70s that washed it out again. So there's no point in building anything up here because it's just going to get destroyed. So this ghost town is not original. You know, it's not, if you want a pristine, untouched ghost town, something like Bobbie, California is more appropriate because it was just kind of left how it was. Of course, everything's been restored, but nothing's really changed. This is different. This is a town that people bought it, and then they just started collecting like cool stuff that wasn't originally here, such as these airplanes. This is a famous Navy plane that's here, and this kind of stuff, of course, wasn't here during the Gold Rush area. So finishing up the story on Nelson, the mine flourished from like 1860 until around the turn of the century, and then it began to slow down. And even so, they were still mining here until the 1940s, I think about 1945. That's when the mining stopped. And, by that time it was kind of slow, and then it was kind of abandoned. And then it was bought later on, and all this stuff was brought in. So this plane here is quite famous. There's a movie called 3,000 Miles to Graceland, famously with Kevin Costner and was it Kurt Russell? And Courtney Cox. And that movie involved this airplane, there's a scene where Costner's at the gas station, then he just throws the leaking gas pump on the ground, gas strips on the ground, and then he flicks a cigarette butt at it and catches fire, and then it completely explodes the gas station. And this is the airplane that was mounted at the gas station. And if you watch the movie, you can see this plane blew up. So it's kind of placed here as though it crashed into the ground, kind of, but that's not at all how it went. But anyway, that's the story. So there's a lot of colorful history. That's probably the most famous movie. And there's a lot of debate about whether it's a good movie. It's a kind of a crime movie. It's kind of overdone. The performances by Costner and Russell are quite good. And if you're interested in Nelson, it's definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but it's pretty good. Worth watching for sure. So anyway, I know I'm rambling on and I'm not talking about the vehicles, but I think the vehicles kind of speak for themselves. Oh, is this the famous jail or part of it? I think it is, because of the metal grates. So one of the things they really make a point of is not being here after dark. Yeah, this is the jail because it's got the metal bars. Some sort of safe, and this is like a cell kind of thing. How'd you like to be stuck in here? That would not be all that fun. I kind of like this. This is an old school drill press. It's really quite massive. And as you can see, in the old days, all that stuff was run off a belt, so they might have a, one engine in the shop that would run things, and then they would run various pieces of equipment instead of them all having their own electric motors. This is an old airplane engine, very possibly out of that Navy rig. Bunch of yard junk, little grill, wheels, wheelbarrow, and then this might be some sort of drilling rig or something because it's got the thing on top. That's an old GMC. There's a white superpower. Hard to say what that was originally. It's got a big old rope system on it. I wonder if it's some sort of tow, or it's red, so maybe it was a fire thing. I don't know. Another GMC chassis over there. Nice red bus. That's an International also. Now that one's pretty clean. Looks like they didn't modify it too much. And this one's kind of a crowd pleaser. This is a proper. Would I be off base if I said that was an original Willys Jeep? It's got a sort of a pointed grill on it, which is really cool, and then chrome, so it was more than utilitarian. Got this nice emblem here. All these are kind of gutted inside. That's just how it is. Well, that's a nice old rig. It's got to be an old Fiat. These were pretty famous. They tended to have like little tiny, almost like motorcycle size engines in them. But oh my god, I'm so mistaken. This is a Subaru. It looks like a Fiat, doesn't it? I think I've owned 7 Subarus in my life. So I'm kind of starting with a 1982, but this was when they were just kind of toys. It's a nice looking car though. It'd be fun to drive one around in one of these all restored. There's something you don't see every day. Proper Studebaker sign. These old metal chairs with just absolutely lovely patina on them. And painted several times, and then they kind of, this one was green, then it was red, and then it's faded. That is a nice looking stubby bus, isn't it? Probably in this area they probably have a plethora of small buses because the schools were pretty small. Gorgeous hood logo there. Alright, there's a really ancient water truck here. This would have been pre-1930, maybe even pre-1920. But somewhere in that area from 1910 to 1925. There's an old ham sign, and then water tank up there. Another water rig. Another nice old truck. It says job rated on it. That's a Dodge. Amazing, just gorgeous. If you like desert patina, this is, the combination of layers of color and then cracking paint and rust. It's absolutely beautiful. And the body's in decent shape. here is a very cool pink 1960 Cadillac. Now I saw another person who had been here and they mistakenly referred to this as the vehicle that Kevin Costner drove in the movie 3,000 Miles to Graceland, but it's not. Costner drove a 1959, which is the one with the fins that are even bigger than this, and they've got the two little taillights on them. And this is a 60, so this is not the car, but it is during the era when the cars got as big as they ever were. So this is like a great example of a 60 Cadillac, and then it's towing a funky old teardrop trailer. Here's a funky, it doesn't have a chassis anymore, it was just converted into a building, and there's a gas pump out in front. Who knows, maybe it was a gas station or something, but hard to say. And then there's stairs up this building here, and then it says wedding party only. Now you heard the woman tell me that there's going to be a wedding here today, and that's pretty common. A lot of people decide they want to get married in Nelson, which is this is cool. And there's going to be a wedding here at 11 or noon or something. They told me I can't go in there after 11, so it is my intention that I'm going to check it out now. And this has got a big W on it, and it also has that sort of pointed grill. So I think that other one we looked at was also a Willys. I don't know the years on Willys. Generally the interiors are just rotted away, but the bodies are kind of decent on these things. Okay, so here's the side of the church. You can see we have just an amazing, gorgeous sky today. And here's the... Are these the cholla? I think they are. The ones they said you definitely don't want to fall in. So here's the entrance to the church. Stained glass, kind of semi-open. So if you had a small ceremony, this would be pretty nice. The roof's all... Most of these have had their roofs replaced, which is probably the most important part of preserving these old buildings. Oh, it's kind of cool. You can look through there and see the rocks and sky in the background. It's a beautiful place. I got no intention of getting married, but if I did, I wouldn't mind doing it here. Okay, now we're gonna go check out. There's a motel sign back here, which I really love. This is like pretty cool. I don't know what era this is, but I just love these old signs. People like to collect these too, and if they have room for them, put them on their property. This one's pretty large. It's probably 15, 18 feet long, and from the bottom of the arrow to the top is at least 10 feet or 9 feet. Pretty good size. This looks like a gasoline truck. This is what they looked like back in the day, the smaller ones. It's not, I don't think it's a fire rig, but some of the fire rigs look similar, but this one is just, it doesn't have any extra equipment on it. It's just a tank. And bullet holes in the doors. See what this is, international maybe? Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeedy. International. There's a nice view of the view. The thing I didn't catch, there's a nice bell in the tower there. And then here's some more old cars and parts and stuff. This is a coupe that would be like, well, it's not a coupe, it's a, what do you call them, a saloon? I don't know. But, oh, and this one's got what you call suicide doors, where the back door opens the wrong way. If it catches the wind, you're pretty screwed. But that's a nice looking car. And that is a year is that? Late 30s? Yeah, late 30s. And this is a pile of old hoods and fenders, it looks like. There's a VW. There's a Chevrolet pickup truck bed. Fenders, hoods, fenders and wheels. Nice old hubcaps. This is the garage. They told me I could walk in the garage if I'm a photographer. Here's the cooler, another pump, another passenger rig around a 1940. Don't know what this is. Okay. This is the Cadillac. Yes. That's a beauty. And once again, this is the one they told me that I could go in, so I'm gonna go in. It says stay out, but they said photographers could go in. So I'm gonna put it on ultra wide. We get a good view of the innards of here, and I'm gonna be careful of snakes while I'm in here. Wow, this is look at the wheel. I bet you that was a really gaudy wheel in its day. And some pieces of cholla cactus there. And of course the Cadillac needed to be more ornate than the other brands, so you can see these pretty elaborate taillights. Cadillac always sported the V back in those days for the V8, which was not everybody had. Some like the Pontiac, you know, when they went to 8-cylinder. I don't know if they had to license it from Ford or something, but like the Pontiacs when they were 8-cylinder, it was a straight 8, which we don't see anymore. We see a straight 6, but not straight 8. In fact, mostly even 6-cylinders these days are V6s. Lots of old hubcaps, and there's a set of Packard hubcaps up there. There's a nice set of hubcaps. Those could be Caddy hubcaps. Some taillights over there. You know, a lot of the stuff in here is junk, but at the same time, some of the things like the taillights and hubcaps and things that you need for restorations can be quite valuable. Love this green paint. Looks like there's a darker green underneath. Maybe it was painted and the second coat faded. There's a view over there of the motel sign, the church, the peaks in the background, and then this building here, and then these old there's an old little plow thing, and that looks like a, oh my god, is that for real? Like a maybe a weed cutter. I mean, it's too, I don't think it would work well as a lawnmower, but like a weed chopper, a little engine in the back. You wrap your starter cord around it and give it a yank. This little plow thing is David Bradley. Oh yeah, this is so I think this is a Ford, I think, and this is an era where they put the headlights in the fenders. I can't remember the year, maybe 41 or something like that. And this is a beauty. This would be one that you probably could restore, and it would be or something, just because it's a desirable body style. As far as the school buses, I think this is the oldest one. It says Passaic Township High School. So this would have transported kids all over, but it was obviously gutted at some point. Cadillac, the 1960. I didn't mention that ice rig behind it before, but there it is. And then here's another view of the water tank that's nearby. Right in front of me here is another oldie, 1930s. Alright, so this is a mid-1930s Chevrolet, and during this period most of the manufacturers used these kind of teardrop shaped grills, which are really cool. And over here are some Willys Jeeps. These are pickup models, these pair. These are pretty cool, and they're in decent shape. Got that pointy grill. And then next to that there's a 1953 Ford. And this one's pretty cool. And what you notice about this one is that it's a two-door model, a coupe. So as far as the hot rodders are concerned, this is what they want. They want the two-door model. So this one would be one that they would think about restoring. Nobody really wants the four-door models, but this one would work great. Got the cool round taillights. And this bus is absolutely awesome. I love this bus. It's kind of a streamlined era. There's no radiator in the front, so it's obviously a pusher. Probably a diesel pusher. So this one was converted to a mobile home probably a long time ago. It's got the streamlined look and the slanted windows, and then on the roof there's a what appears to be an air conditioning unit, and then the back is like super rounded and really cool. It really looks good from the back. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of venting. You see that door there, that's probably the engine room, and it looks like it's kind of, I don't know if you can get in the back there. You have to get in the sides. But anyway, from the back, it's just super cool. Looks pretty sweet. All right, here's another Plymouth. This one is kind of like the other one. It's a touring model or a saloon or whatever, sedan, whatever you call it. It's got the suicide door. The rear door swings the wrong way and swings out. And this one has a cool kind of spare tire cover on the rear, which you can see. And then it's also still has the hubcaps, which is kind of cool. It's got a great patina with a bunch of different layers of paint. This whole truck here, it's a bigger model. These are not that desirable in terms of the hot rodders, so they kind of avoid these. So these are not that hard to find. They're kind of too big to make into custom vehicles, and they're no longer really utility. So, and here's a Willys Jeep, and maybe it had front end damage or something, and they whacked it off and then sort of rebuilt a grill onto there, which kind of makes it into a cool towable trailer. And over here is a fire engine. Obviously it's red. So we're going to look in the back here, and I think we're going to see some hoses and stuff. Yeah, so we've got hoses, so this is definitely a fire rig, older fire rig, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so here's some more buses over here. There's an old, what looked like a Ford, kind of early 50s. And then here's another really old bus, and I think this is maybe second to the other. It's a little bit newer than the other bus we saw, but it's still pretty old. It's got the headlights mounted on the fenders. And then we've got a Chevy or GMC bus. And in American cars, you can tell they're 1958 or later when they have dual headlights. So this is probably a 58-ish bus, something around there. And then next to it is a GMC, and this is a single headlight model. So this would tell you that it's and it's probably later a single headlight, so it's probably a 56 or 57 model, and that's a flatbed truck. And next to that, we've got a military vehicle, and this one is just like the other ones we looked at that had the built into campers with buses mounted on top of them. These are obviously flatbed utilitarian vehicles. They'd use them for just about anything. Okay, next up we have Metropolitan Way. There's 3 of them over here. Now Metropolitan was a really cool company. I think they were later maybe bought by Rambler or American Motors or whatever you want to call it. But they were often two-tone. They were super cool. I had a friend, see this yellow one here, and she had one just like this one, and she would drive it around in the 1980s, and it was super cool, very stylish. And then here's a kind of a turquoise and white one. They had these lovely two-tone colors, and they were just kind of unique cool little cars, and some of them still survive, and they're very collectible, and these are pretty nice ones. So it's really good to see these here. I'm happy to see them, and this is a nice little display here of 3 different models. And then next up we've got this Coca-Cola truck, and this one is obviously, you can see the chrome on the grill, and the chrome on the headlights and the chrome trim. So this one was trying to be a little bit fancier, a little better for display, and I think it worked. And here's an Edsel. This one is pretty cool. It's actually pretty rusty. I don't think it's a California or Nevada car. They probably brought it in from somewhere else, but it's in pretty bad shape. But it's a good demonstration of the Edsel model. There's the rear of it. They were manufactured from 1958 to 1960. As you know, the Edsels were a huge failure, so but they're kind of fun to look at. This one is a Citation model, and the front grille is still intact, so pretty nice to see this thing here. Sign on this building says General Store, so we'll just pop inside and check it out. Not much to see, but floors, and looks like the floor is probably completely redone. One old funky chair in here. And then if you look up, of course you can see the restoration work was, a lot of these buildings, they redid the roof so they could keep them alive. It's a nice view out the door. The barn that we were in originally, with the Texaco sign. Another thing I didn't point out is there's a grill on the roof there, and that looks like from like a 1956 maybe Oldsmobile, and that's over on that building, which is next to the 53 Chevy there. We've got nice bathrooms here. I'll take this opportunity to check it out. She told me they were nice and clean, and looks like they are. Of course, there is a light in here, and it is quite nice, as they claim. So we'll leave it as we found it. Switch the light off. Open the door toward me. So I had a nice Waz. So I feel like $1 million. Well, it looks like the wedding party is now heading toward the church. All the ladies in heels stumbling on the gravel. They're gonna have a good old time. How's it going, brother?
Bless yourself.
Pretty good.
Good.
Okay drive?
Nope. Little crosswinds, but not bad.
Have you been here before?
No, this is my first time here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's nice here. It's
Yeah.
nice.
So you could probably, do you gotta stay with the bus, or can you walk around a little bit?
Well, I don't know. I could walk around a little while. It all depends on, they might be coming back and forth to the bus.
Oh,
I could walk around, but.
Yeah. We'll do it when the ceremony starts, because then they can't walk around.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, man.
All right.
See ya. There's an old rotted out, looks like, that must be a Plymouth, or, Dodge or Chrysler, one of those, maybe a Chrysler. Let's see. If it's fancier, it's a Chrysler. Got all these interiors are kind of look the same. So this says Royale. Let's see if we can see the grill. The emblem is gone. You can see the original paint was that nice green. Somebody's robbed the emblem off it. Probably not a Plymouth, because that grill is really fancy, so it's probably a Dodge or Chrysler, but I'm not certain. You see the chrome trim around the side here. That's more indicative of a fancier model. There's a really old rig. I wonder what that is. It's either a Dodge or an International. That's a Dodge. So here's another one of those early Dodge, and this one's older. It's an early Dodge utility vehicle. Four-wheel drive. This one's still got one chain on it. And I don't know when Dodge came out with that moniker Power Wagon, but that was used back in the day. And this is a really special vehicle. And let's see if we can figure out what. The plate is from 1938. Oh, this is a Chevy. Okay. So one thing about plates on these early vehicles, it will often, but not always, tell you the year of the vehicle, because the plate gets issued as to the year of the vehicle back then. So it's a lot of times it's accurate, but sometimes it's not, because if you buy a car, for example, if you buy a 1938 Chevy in Nevada and then you drive it to California and then you register it in 1962, it'll have a 1962 plate on it. Or I think it was pre-62 when they had those plates. So in this case, I think it's accurate. So we're going to call this a 1938 Chevrolet. And this is an extended limo style thing. And what's really kind of cool and unique is I believe what this is like an air conditioner. Well, guess what? My other camera just died, so we're gonna just go with the GoPro. So anyway, we're looking at the Chevy limo style Canyon Express Heart of the Hills camp. I don't know where that is, but what I was starting to talk about is this unit right here. I believe it's an air conditioner. If you look at the top of it, you can see some right up here. You can see some threads, and I think all it did was you'd fill it up with water, and then as you're driving, it would catch the wind, and the wind would blow through the there's some sort of material that absorbed the water. And it's basically a swamp cooler, and it doesn't even require a fan because it uses the speed of the vehicle to create the cool air. And then it has this absolutely amazing sort of hand-built, you can see this is like a hand-built teardrop, and these wings were, you know, it's like the streamline thing. You can see the wings and the fender there, which was pretty cool. This is a more modern bus, but they put the grill says Divco on it. They put an older grill on it to just kind of give it a weird kind of look. And then another grill up above the window and hanging down, actually blocking the driver's view. That's interesting. And then like these wooden structures up high, a little strange. And a funky old vintage trailer. Brand name Comet on the back. Looking down the hill. And here's another Ford, probably 70s bus again. This is the same style as the other one. Might have been the same builder because you see those tree roots on the side. This thing has the same thing. And then these supports for the front of it are kind of made to look like plants. Please stay out, it says. Bluebird. So Bluebird is the bus company, school bus company. So I think they would buy the chassis from Ford and then build out the school bus. That's the Bluebird company. And then down by the house, you can see there's a cool fire rig. This nice old house. All right. Oh, this is from Boulder City, which is located outside of Las Vegas. There's one other vehicle over here, which this kind of cracks me up. It's like an old panel truck, and it's got these weird, kind of more modern wheels on it, which is totally like, I don't know, not my thing. But that's a Chevrolet, actually. That grill is a Chevrolet. Oh, you can see the little. You can see the moniker and also the red. Took the time, that was probably chrome. They took the time to paint it with a little bit of red paint, which is cool. And that about wraps up the video tour of Nelson Ghost Town. Super fun. Thanks for coming along, and again, I hope you enjoyed all the blathering. I couldn't help myself. Thanks for watching.